What's cracking, everybody? Rose here with Maggie, bringing you guys some Pokemon Go Battle League content. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at some spice in the Ultra League as I got... Yeah, that's how I felt playing Go Battle Day. This is how I felt playing Go Battle Day. I got so frustrated that I'm like, you know what? I've been wanting to build this darn Arcanine that I've had in my storage for a long time now. And so I said, screw it, I'm going to build it and play a team with it. And you know what? This is the result of that, is I actually had some decent sets with this team and had a lot of fun playing it. So you're going to be looking at some gameplay of Hisuian Arcanine in the Ultra League. Come right up here. So look at you goofball. So we got Cresselia on the lead as our function as our anti-Swampert, anti-water. And for the most part, it does that job very nicely. And this person brings in a Talonflame, and I've just literally appeared to ruin their whole day. Look at how much damage this move does. It's just a flame charge. My opponent... Oh, okay. You need to be careful now, Missy. You're going to fall off this chair. Just almost went on live on camera and went down for a dip. Completely hard wall. I was in this... went with this team with the specific intention of countering all the Charizards I kept seeing. I'm very tired of them, and you are being very fussy, and I don't like it. So I'm just loading up on energy here because I can. So this is a matchup where you dominate the opponent so hard that you just go and you get as much energy as you can, and then you just... And then because it's Swampert, I'm going to go for the Wild Charge. I actually don't know if a Rock Slide or Wild Charge does more damage from Arcanine. It doesn't do much, though. Look at how much damage that Mudshot did. And my opponent's going to come with Umbreon here. I'm going to go ahead and chip him with a Moonblast first. And then the Moonblast is going to do some damage. Hopefully get a shield here. And then I'm going to bring in my Charizard with a shield advantage and an attack drop on the Umbreon as well, which is very nice. You're a workout. You are something else. So I'm going to try and make sure I'm timing all of my moves as well as I can, knowing that if I have to, my Cresselia can clean this game up for me. Because it can basically one-shot or near one-shot the Swampert, and then the Umbreon basically just takes 2 Blast Burns and goes down. So going for another Blast Burn here. My opponent is going to get to a move, so I'm going to shield this up here. And then we're going to go for Blast Burn number 2 against... You can't block me forever. I'm going to find a way past you. And then my opponent gets the Swampert. I don't even know what they did. I did these battles yesterday, and just stop slapping me. Stop slapping me. You're ridiculous. So I let my Charizard go because my opponent, I think, caught the Blast Burn. I couldn't tell, even if he wanted me to. Blast Burn caught... Stop trying to grab my ear. Stop trying to grab it. Here, we gotta hit the button. I gotta hit it. No. Ah, no, we missed it. Whatever, I hit it late. Darn it, child. Another rock lead. So I actually had some decent sets with this team. Some really good leads for Cresselia here. Obviously, I want this thing to stay as far away from my Charizard, my Arcanine, as possible, so I have no choice but to play this lead out and hope that they're weak to my fire types in the back. So we're going to continue to throw Grass Knots just over and over here, basically. Not really worrying too much about saving a ton of energy, because I know that this is actually a very close matchup, and I think the Regirock actually wins the zeros here, if I'm not careful. So, yeah, I essentially have to go for 2 Grass Knots here in order to take them out. Maybe more, depending on if they shield. Opponent does not shield, so I am now in a position where I basically have to farm down. And yes, had I gone for the Grass Knot immediately, I might have been able to win the 0 shield here. But I'm totally happy with shielding and saving some HP, because they clearly don't have an answer that they want my... Motorboat, silly girl. Clearly they don't have a really strong answer they can swap into for my Cresselia in the back. So I swap in after they bring in the Cobalion. I throw the Moonblast to either draw a shield or do some damage, and then bring in my Charizard. And I realize that, yes, I do have to worry about being one-shot, but I definitely cannot bring in my... Anyone else's eardrums you'd like to break? Oh, okay. You're ridiculous. You're absolutely ridiculous. Is this a Pokemon battle video, or is this a Maggie flopping all over Daddy video? Anyway, opponent's got a Virizion in the back. My Charizard comes in, and my Arcanine literally has to do nothing but be moral support in the back. That's going to be a game. Kaboom, clap, transition. We got there, even though you're being a freaking weirdo. Oh, don't start this. All right, Mandibuzz. Okay, so Charizard on this team is the save swap for sure, and that is to draw out the Swampert. Or other hard answer to my Arcanine, being maybe a Tapu Fini, a Swampert, could be, you know, some other rock type that Cresselia can hopefully handle. So now that I've brought out the Charizard, they're going to go for the Hydro Cannon. I know that I can live one, and I'm just going to keep going for Blast Burns because those are going to do more damage. And if my opponent doesn't play this correctly, they may try to farm me down here. They will actually have to shield this Dragon Claw now if they want to win switch. So Charizard as a safe swap is actually really safe and nice into this Swampert. And honestly, I almost flipped it. Almost flipped it. Almost flipped it. Oh my goodness, crazy chop. And Swampert goes for an Earthquake before going down. Mandibuzz is going to come in, and I'm going to tank this move, whatever it is, probably Dark Pulse. Most of them in the Ultra League play the Dark Pulse. And I'm going to go with good timing, go for this Moonblast here. And then I'm going to bring in my Arcanine and just try to see what I can make happen. I'm hoping that my opponent's only answer to the fire typing was the Swampert. And so they come in with a Tentacruel. And this is actually not bad because I'm resisting the poison jab damage from the Tentacruel, and they actually take quite a little while to get to their moves. So I'm going to shield at the Scald, and with 2 shields I should easily be able to go for 2 or 3 wild charges here before they can take me out. And that also means that my Arcanine is going to have a lot of play against the Mandibuzz. Now I should have just gone for Rock Slide here in hindsight, because the Rock Slide definitely KOs from this range, and I'm taking less damage if I do that. So, you know, don't debuff if you don't have to. But I also don't know how much damage these Rock Slides do. So I'm shielding up, and I hope that at this point I may have enough damage to be able to get, or enough damage from one of these moves to be able to KO the Mandibuzz. So I'm going to go for the Wild Charge here, and we're going to see if we can take out the Mandibuzz. Not quite. We can't take out the Mandibuzz, but I'm going to catch on my Cresselia. I'm hoping that they don't even undercharge it. Dark Pulse takes out Cresselia, and my opponent is not going to be able to get to a move in time, and I'm going to be able to go for the Rock Slide to KO the Mandibuzz. That's going to be a good game. That's going to be a good game. Very well played to my opponent, though. Like, some of these games were so close. And this is me showcasing a team, by the way. I had, I think I went 4-1, and then I went 0-5. I went 0-5, and then I went, like, 3-2, 3-2... or something with this team, so I'm definitely cherry-picking some of my battles here, but I wanted to show off how good Hisuian Arcanine can be in this meta. If your opponent's not hard countering the double fire team, like, this is a really fun closer to use. Having Wild Charge, Rock Slide, you could run it with Fire Fang as well, if you wanted, but, like, your opponent comes in with Charizard or Talonflame, and you're just like, hey, look what I got. Now, this is definitely not an investment that I would be making if I was playing like normal GBL, right? I am an Ultra League specialist, and Hisuian Arcanine is eligible, I believe, in the next limited meta for Ultra League in Factions, so that's why I built it. But I also really love Arcanine, so I was like, I just really want to build this thing. Now, if I was paying attention, I would have swapped immediately into Cresselia and not thrown this move. But my opponent did a really awesome catch there, but I'm able to come in and immediately combo play my Grass Knot. So unless they shield, they're going to lose their Swampert, and they don't shield. So that may very well be the end of their hard answers to my own Charizard in the back. They think that, oh, they got rid of my Arcanine, that's it. There's no more hard answers to their Charizard in the back. Well, they're not wrong. My Charizard's not exactly a hard answer, but it's not exactly a soft answer. I can easily take them out. Cresselia has enough bulk here to play around with. My opponent has no shields because they spent them already. And that means that my Charizard with a shield advantage probably goes to town, and they have a Scrafty in the back. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for this Moonblast. My opponent goes for a move. If they want it, fine. I'm going to shield up. I'm going to go for the Moonblast. I'm going to just bring in the Charizard. And then the Charizard's just going to wing attack down and go for Dragon Claw if it has to. But that's going to basically be a good game. And you know what? We're going to hit it because that was a lot of damage. Hits that Scrafty for a ton of damage, and the opponent just lets it go and they go down. Sorry. Well played. But, yeah, kind of just decimating the team that they had there. Clefable leads. So Charm lead, obviously I have 2 fires in the back, so I'd like to get them aligned to the Clefable at some point. But I'm going to stay in and do some chip damage. My opponent actually makes the swap here, and they come in with a Confusion Cresselia, and I decide to stay in here because I have an energy lead, and because, honestly, the Confusion damage will add up very quickly against my Pokemon in the back, so I would rather have the resisted Charm damage. I would rather have... Why are you being cranky booty? I would much rather have one of my fire types lined up against the Clefable by resisting the charm damage, rather than swap one in here and have it taking neutral confusion damage. Now, I do eventually bring in my Charizard here, because Cresselia is still something that I want to keep just in case, because they didn't swap out immediately. It means they may not have a super strong answer to it in the back. So I want to keep it alive just in case they have a Swampert. Because, you know, what do they usually pair with fairy types? They're going to bring a Swampert or something to deal with the steel types that may be walling. This person's incredibly weak to steel. And I'm counting. And I go all the way for the farm down. And I'm going to go for Blast Burns here. Now, if this Clefable... If I had a little bit more HP, which I was kind of hoping I would, I'd have been able to go for 2 Blast Burns just about, but I don't. So, but now I have the alignment that I want, and I'm going to go for these Rock Slides. My opponent tries to swap out, so I'm going to be able to farm up a bunch of energy, and I'm going to chip them down, because I need to be able to get to a Moonblast in order to take out the Giratina, but that also means that I'm going to have to get them down into a range where I can do that. So I'm going to throw these Rock Slides, then I'm going to come in with my Cresselia. Thankfully, I catch a move. No shield, because I don't need to. It's probably a Dragon Claw. No, it's a Shadow Sneak. Okay, so I'm going to go for this Moonblast here. Not going to overfarm by too much. I know it's just charm damage in the back at this point, and I very, very handily have this game. I decide not to shield this. In hindsight, was not a wise decision. I just didn't want them to farm me down here, because I knew that my Arcanine could do it, but, like, in hindsight, like, I should have shielded that, chipped it with my Cresselia, and then finished with Arcanine. But thankfully, Arcanine, while fairly squishy, is also not squishy enough to the point where these charms do too much damage. So 2 Rock Slides, easy KO here. CMP tie at the end here to take out this Clefable, and that's going to be a good game. Well played to my opponent. Not necessarily a hard counter, but like it was interesting. Nobody expects the Arcanine. Speaking of nasty leads, this is a core breaker here. Anyone talking about the algorithm could certainly call this one. By the way, I have a video coming out on Thursday that's going to teach you all how to beat the algorithm, so subscribe and hit that like button, because I'm going to have some good stuff for you on Thursday. That's just when the video comes out. Don't judge me. Moonblast is going to take out some HP off that Galvantula, and I'm really looking forward to putting myself in a position where maybe I can hit this thing with a charge move or take energy from me. I mean, I'm up against the wall. This thing core breaks my team. My opponent comes in with Jellicent. Now, that catch, I had to do it. Like, I had no other way to play out of that matchup. And I'm like, you know, I'm just going to safe swap the... Look at how much damage the Bubble Beam did, dude. I'm going to safe swap in the Arcanine in this game, and I'm going to try and just make something happen. My Arcanine has Wild Charge. They come in with Jellicent. I'm going for back-to-back Wild Charges. And it does so much damage. The opponent is forced to shield, which is going to allow my Cresselia to get to a Grass Knot here. Now, I will have to shield, but I get the Worm Turn lag. I should have been able to get that off before they were able to throw their move, but I shield up a freaking Bubble Beam and we CMP tie, and that just feels bad. I wish they would fix this desync issue, man. It's just so frustrating. So my opponent's going to throw a move here. I'm hoping it's going to be another I was hoping it's another Bubble Beam. It was a Shadow Ball. So I know they're out of energy, so I'm going to be able to farm double my Charizard. I'm just hoping to make some magic happen at this point. I have no idea. So I'm going to know, I know that the Galvantula was at 0, so I know that they're going to need 3 more Volt Switches. So I go 1, 2, 3 in the middle of their second, and then I'm 1 away, so I'll go 1 more. And this is what timing helps with, folks. Having good move timing. Otherwise, I never would have been able to take out the Galvantula, and my opponent's got an Umbreon in the back. And with 1 shield, I just need to land 2 Blast Burns, and I should be in the clear here. So this is going to be very close, but I have to play this right, and I cannot miss the timing on these moves, because if I do, I'm screwed. So I have to make a call here, whether I'm going to shield this or not. And I just say, you know what? I'm going to shield this regardless of whether it does enough damage or not. My opponent's going to go for back-to-back foul plays. They made a mistake and then let me get a full move through, which is now going to be a problem. So I'm going to be able to go for Blast Burn here, and then I do believe I'm going to be, I think, 1 away from a Dragon Claw, which is going to be able to KO here. No, never mind. The Blast Burn KOs. That's going to be it. But still, well played to my opponent. That was a good game. All right, so we got Cresselia into Abomasnow. Now, I don't know, but I swap in my Charizard to try and draw something out. There's a Swampert. So this is exactly what this team does, right? Neutral lead, ABB, right? You want to swap into your Charizard to draw out the Swampert or the water or whatever Pokemon they've got in the back that's supposed to beat your waters, and I can tank the Hydro Cannon from this Swampert. So my opponent's going to throw that out. Yeah, it hurts a lot. That's fine. But I'm going to go for Blast Burn number 2 here, and that's going to put them in a range where I may very potentially be able to flip switch if I'm careful here. They shield up, continue farming. Going to be able to get to the Dragon Claw, and if my opponent doesn't shield this, I flip switch. If they do, I'm up 2 no shields. So my opponent just lets it go. Charizard is a Swampert counter confirmed. That's how strong Wing Attack is now. And they've come in with the Charizard, and this is beautiful. I can now just come in with my Arcanine, and this thing is going to destroy the entire rest of their team. I don't need to shield anything here. I'm double resisting Blast Burn, and the Dragon Claw doesn't do that much damage. So I'm going to overfarm, and I'm going to try and throw this Rock Slide, but the thing is that the Rock Slide is very safe because it deals super effective damage to both Pokemon. So that Rock Slide's going to connect, and then I'm going to overfarm by a bit, swapping my Cresselia when they get to the Weather Ball, because the Weather Ball would do resisted damage, but it still would do enough damage. But at least I thought it was a Weather Ball. They're actually an Energy Ball, so I'm really glad I swapped out now. And I'm just here to out-bulk the opposing Abomasnow. I know that my Cresselia is good with energy and shields, and I have a Rock Slide loaded on the Arcanine, so that I'm going to easily be able to fire that off against their Charizard. And honestly, I could probably get 2 at that point. So my opponent is going to throw here. I'm going to save my 2 shields for my Arcanine. I'm just going to basically get to 2 Rock Slides, throw them back to back, and then take the game from there. My opponent decides to surrender, and that's going to be a good game. So Cresselia into Wallrain, this is another great lead. Ideally, would like to get my Arcanine aligned to this for the Rock Slide Wild Charge combination, but if I have to, I can settle for Grass Knots with my Cresselia. What likely is going on here is they've probably got a Swampert in the back, but this is a really tough sell for me to try and swap out of this. So I kind of have to stay in here, unfortunately, and I'm just going to have to try and make something happen. If they have a Swampert in the back, then it sucks to be me. So I'm going for Grass Knot number 2 here anyway. And my opponent lets it go. So I'm thinking maybe I'm going to commit to a hard farm down here, because if the opponent does have a Swampert in the back, if I keep that energy loaded, I should be able to take care of it pretty easily. My opponent's going to go for some more Icicle Spears here. This is definitely a tough situation for me because of how close this thing is able to take me out. When I get them loaded enough, I'm able to bring in my Charizard, Wing Attack down, they bring in a Tapu Fini, which you would think this is a hard counter for Charizard, right? Right? Played this matchup out a few times, and I know that the opponent has to shield in order to beat me. They cannot go and just straight farm down. They have to throw the Surf in order to beat me. And I'm going to go for a Dragon Claw bait here because I know that a Blast Burn would threaten a shield from this range. So I'm going to go for the Dragon Claw bait, gets the shield, going to be able to hit off this Dragon, or going to go for a Blast Burn before going down. My opponent goes for a move, and I'm just going to let it go at this point. And I'm going to overfarm, or at least come into overfarm, and get the Grass Knot, but my opponent has a Talonflame. I have a Hisuian Arcanine. I bet they weren't expecting that today, but boy, did it feel good to swap this in, so I'm just going to go for a couple Rock Slides and make their life kind of miserable. But, again, well played to my opponents. They were not expecting Hisuian Arcanine. Honestly, probably nobody was, but the thing just comes in and wrecks. Now, I'm going to go for double Wild Charges here. Hisuian Arcanine doesn't care. Sweeping this whole team. Doesn't care. Wild Charge 1 gets the shield, Wild Charge 2 is going to take it out, and that's going to be a good game. Well played, my opponent. Again, a close one, man. But that's the power of Charizard. And honestly, we should be putting Charizard on the thumbnail, but Hisuian Arcanine was just too good to pass up. So Trevenant, not great. The only downside to this for the Hisuian Arcanine matchup is the fact that I'm not running Flamethrower or Fire Fang. Unfortunately, even though Arcanine has really good typing against it, it doesn't really have any solid coverage moves against it. So the Rock Slide does maybe 45-50% or so. My opponent swaps in a Guzzlord to counter my Charizard, and these Dragon Claws come out really quickly. So my opponent's going to have to start shielding these up, and I can win this matchup and get switch, which is kind of what I'm hoping to do because I don't want my Cresselia up against this the opposing Trevenant. I'd much rather have my Arcanine against it, but honestly, neither one is a great scenario when I'm out of shields. So, opponent's Guzzlord is going to go down, but I'm not going to be able to do anything with Charizard's HP as low as it is. So I come in with Arcanine, and I'm like, I'm just going to have to tank a move here or shield. And I do decide to shield with Shadow Ball. That was a good shield. My opponent now comes in with Tapu Fini, and I make a mistake here. I should not have thrown this energy. I should have saved it, and I should have gone straight into Cresselia. By not going straight into Cresselia and saving that energy, I've basically lost myself this game because that Trevenant has no energy. and all I would have needed was the Rock Slide to KO. So what I'm doing here is I'm over farming by a ton of energy, and I'm just hoping that I'm going to be able to get to a Moonblast, and then I'm going to be able to get to a Rock Slide against the Trevenant before they can KO my Arcanine. But the opponents aren't stupid. None of my opponents are stupid. And so they're going to be able to throw this move right before I'm going to be able to get to my Grass Knot. CMP time me very nicely. Now I have to snarl down before they get to another Seed Bomb, and they are very close to one. So am I going to be able to get there? Absolutely not. Opponent, right before I'm able to take them out, gets a Seed Bomb. But Hisuian Arcanine lives with 1 HP. And if I had saved the energy, it would have been even better. But unfortunately, I didn't do it. And they live just with 1 HP in a dream. But, you know, well played. That was very well played to my opponent. I probably made a couple mistakes there, but that's all right. Politoed comes in. Another really, really hard counter to Charizard. But this is exactly what the point of the team is. Get the water type on the field with the Charizard so that my Arcanine doesn't have to see it later. I'm going to keep going straight Blast Burn here. I'm not going to go for Dragon Claw because Blast Burn does more damage. And once I get to the next Blast Burn, I actually threaten a shield. But I am counting their energy, and I decided to throw this Dragon Claw instead on the CMP because I know that this is where they were going to throw their move. Now that I've gotten the damage in, I'm going to let it go. Oh, honey, it's okay. Cresselia's going to come in, and my baby girl is tired and cranky, aren't you? Oh, honey, I know. I know. You can go sleep. Go sleep. Cresselia is going to come in, just soak some energy, get some Grass Knots and some extra energy here. And then the opponent is going to throw the Earthquake, which, look, it doesn't really do much damage at all. So I think at this point, I thought about going for just a straight farm down. But my opponent has their little Ninetales come back in. And I just come straight in with my Arcanine. I'm going to throw rocks at this thing. After over farming a bit, because they're running Charm. And this is just a Weather Ball. It's resisted. I don't need to shield this. It's fine. Weather Ball is going to do a little bit of damage, and it's going to allow me to overfarm just a wee bit more. And then this Rock Slide is definitely going to take out the Ninetales, and the opponent is going to come back in with their Politoed. I have 2 shields, and I'm looking to maybe farm this thing down. Maybe whatever they have in the back does not want to see Arcanine. Oh, and they have another Weather Ball loaded already. I have to double shield here, get this Snarl down if I can. But unfortunately, I think the Snarls are just barely going to cut it, and I don't think they're going to be able to get there. But thankfully, they do, and I have so much energy, and there's a Mandibuzz in the back. And now, my Arcanine is about to be unleashed. Now, I don't know which does more damage. Once again, I don't know if Rock Slide does or a Wild Charge does. But they have 1 shield, and this is where they're going to use it. So I go straight back-to-back moves, and I need to catch on my Cresselia. My opponent doesn't fall for it, and they do throw a little bit after. But if I can get to 1 more Moonblast, I should get them very close to being KO'd. My opponent throws right before I'm able to get to that move. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to live this foul play or not. Cresselia hangs on with a hair of HP, but that unfortunately is leaving me within farm range. I'm very close to losing this game. So they're going to be able to farm me down. But I'm very close to a move. Just 2 Snarls, and Rock Slide's going to be able to get there right before the opponent gets to their next foul play. And that's going to be taking out the Mandibuzz, and that's a good game. Well played. All of my opponents loved this team. It worked very well when it worked. Obviously, getting hard countered sucks, but it was a fun team nonetheless. So thanks everyone so much for watching, and we're going to catch you in the next video. Yep. Yes, we are. Bye-bye.